How did the Earth form? Earth is a unique planet in very many ways. This is a result of its formation and composition among many other things about it. It is the only planet in the solar system that is able to sustain human life. How was Earth formed? What happened to bring Earth into existence? Join me today in this video as we discuss more about Earth's formation, its components, and many more about the solar system and Earth. In the solar system, there are many planets, but Earth is the only life-supporting planet. It came as a result of matter freezing on solar nebula around 16 million years ago. Solar nebula came as a result of cloud and dust particles pulling together after the collapse of certain stars. Nebula was spinning at a high speed, leading to more accumulation of dust particles and clouds. For a period, gravity at its center became more. However, this did not bring Earth into existence. Around 4.6 billion years ago, the Earth was made up of clouds and small gas particles. These elements were very small that they could not be bound together by the force of gravity. The disk that was around the gas started changing from a gas into dust. The clouds also froze to calcium, aluminum, and iron. As the metals grew, they absorbed more energy from the sun. The Earth is composed of gases and 70% water to be able to support life. When the sun began to come into existence, the lighter particles were blown away. Hydrogen and helium are the only gases that would collect at a distance from the sun. At a temperature, a gas freezes into a solid. Small particles were bound together by the force of gravity into larger particles. The fractionation of chemicals affects the inner core of Earth in many ways. The rock surface of the Earth was formed through the colliding of larger particles. The Earth is located in the concentrated nebula that will collapse mutually attracted by its mass. The vapors are pushed away by radiation from the sun, leaving helium and hydrogen, potassium, carbon, water, and plants with the help of solar winds. As the Earth grows in diameter, it begins to melt. The heat responsible originates from the matter of the nebula. Most heat that melts other substances is known to be originating from the juvenile sun. The Earth is not alone. Other planets had risen from the materials that struck around the sun, which later competed for space and survival in the solar system. Earth formation has undergone 3 stages to come up with it. The first one is the collision of particles to form it. The second is its collision with protoplanets. The sun was first to form at the center of the solar system. Early in the time, Earth was not the size it is today. It was a molten rock. Jupiter came from the outer regions formed of frozen materials ejected from the inner disk. Since the Earth has an inner core, outer core, and mantle, the planets have unique chemicals within them in relation to distance and the temperature of their formation. The division of chemicals among the planets affects the inner core since the nebula is close to 100% gas. Jupiter is not the only giant in the solar system. Saturn also has unique features that distinguish it from other planets. The 2 planets work hand in hand in dragging themselves back to the outer region where they feel comfortable. Saturn also migrated close to the sun in less time compared to Jupiter, and being smaller than Jupiter, it migrated faster. The red planet survives because its orbit lies on the inner edge of the depopulated zone. Mars changed its position to the depopulated zone after forming near the sun, which made Mars in close contact with the Earth. During Jupiter's orbital's resonance, many planets are caught. Mars is not also left behind. The Grand Tag theory came along to explain more hidden agendas taking place in the solar system which are not been well disclosed before. We all know that even if something is good, it can't miss negativity from some parties that are or have discussed the same. The same happens to the Grand Tag theory, where 3 issues have been raised against the theory. Jupiter was initially not formed where it is presently. It underwent migration inwards before reversing its migration outwards to attain a comfortable environment. Jupiter migration affected the orbits of other planets in a less noticeable way. Nebula gas presence will also help in returning the orbit's nature back. The asteroid belt was thought to depopulate after 2 passes by Jupiter. However, continued migration in the outer disk launches materials inwards, that is to reform the asteroid belt into its original state. The theory requires an orbit ratio of 2:3 between Jupiter and Saturn to migrate outwards. This will require planets to move in a ratio of 1:2. The Grand Tag theory came up as a result of its ability to explain the characteristics of the inner disk. Asteroids were not that important in Earth's formation, but they later became since they are responsible for shaping the Earth. Planet Mercury was formed as a result of gravity pulling gases and dust together. Mercury has a central core, mantle, and outer crust. The Mercury formation theory is the most studied one. However, people have many questions still about the number of collisions to pull away the Mercury mantle. Other theories on the same are asteroid impacts on removing the mantle and the formation of solar nebula. Its surface looks like that of Earth's moon. Mercury has high temperatures during the day. All these activities give rise to Earth's formation. Ocean magma solidifies out, leading to materials of Earth organization. Nickel and iron sinks at the core, plus other heavy materials. Since the lightest objects are non-reactive, they form the outer surface and freeze near the surface. The Earth forms surfaces while asteroids explode to burst the solid into dust particles, which are later fixed together into solid particles later by the act of forces between the dust particles. The theory also includes losing its mantle out of collisions and shifting orbits before absorbing debris. The ocean of magma starts solidifying again. The same case happens to molten magma where it starts to leak. Surfaces and the mantle strips away, giving Earth a new beginning. Water and other objects surrounding Earth take a long time before they appear again, but they finally appear. While on the other hand, gases and water that were driven away earlier by heat from the sun start reappearing again on Earth. After much evolution, Earth has finally came to be. Only one collision and some small things that are separating it from its origin story and the beginning of its history. But one more thing remains to happen so as to bring the final mass on Earth. Forces of gravity acting between objects melt the solid particles that are present on Earth, causing ice to drip on the surface of Earth. The moon is said to have come into existence as a result of the collision between Earth and a Mars-sized object. The word Theia originates from a Greek. This has been found to be the best theory so far. Absence of iron on the moon comes from the collision between Earth and Mars. Since iron is heavy, it sinks at the core of the Earth, giving room for the moon to be formed from the debris ejected by both planets. This happened 4.5 billion years ago. The moon takes a month to complete a full lunar cycle. The shadow of the moon blocks sunlight from reaching the Earth, and its traveling speed does not go beyond 14,000 kilometers per hour. The chemical composition of Theia is the same as that of Earth. Theia is the same as Earth but different in its compositions. Energy from the collisions allows them to melt. The two objects work together in many ways. The force of gravity between the two objects also brings along many things. Solid rock absorbs shock waves that liquefy the mantle. Heated gases and droplets of magma also come with an impact on Earth. We cannot conclude that Earth came into existence from nowhere. The Earth has undergone several collisions among objects. Many evolutions and growth have been experienced to bring Earth into being. However, the actions did not end in vain but rather came up with something awesome that's Earth. So far, it's the only planet sustaining life. It is also made up of a great percentage of water and plants. The presence of asteroids that are responsible for shaping the Earth comes as another useful component. Thank you for watching this video. Please remember to subscribe so that you don't miss any latest news on Earth formation.